Hey there! Welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole and this is episode 36. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as profpurl, and everything I'll talk about today is linked below. So the episodes I post here are updates on my knitting. I'm a math education professor who lives in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and so that's how the name Professor Purl gets its name. And yeah, I love to knit. It brings me joy. It's a way I de-stress. It's a way I have fun. And so in these episodes, I just update about my knitting, like what I've been making. So if you're into that, you know, get a cup of coffee, or if you're somewhere really warm, some iced coffee. I'm sitting on my porch and it's so nice out, and I went on vacation, which I'll talk about in personal section, and we're somewhere really hot. We were in Florida, and so I'm really enjoying the low humidity and the coolness of my porch, but like still warm and sunny. So because I was on vacation, I took an entire week off of knitting. I love to knit, it was a busy vacation, and so when I was rounding up my knitting today, I was really surprised by how much knitting there actually is. There's a ton of knitting, and I was also noticing it all has like very like 60s, 70s vintage vibes. So I hope you enjoy. I have one finished object today, and it is a pair of socks. Are you surprised? I am. So I did not think I would be knitting socks this summer. I thought, okay, I've done summer sock camp for the past 2 years. I wanted my focus to be on tank tops, but I was watching The Crazy Sock Lady, and Kay said that whips were included, works in progress. And I have like at least 20 pairs or 20 single socks, like 20 different socks going, like at least. And I just love to cast on socks, not super great about finishing them. And so I was like so excited to hear that whips were included. And I had this Advent skein, and if you're unfamiliar with an Advent skein, it's basically like a self-striping yarn where you can knit a stripe a day through December. And this is the card that came with my Advent skein in 2022, so this past December, and I kept up with it. I did a stripe a day, and I essentially just had 2 tubes when I was done, and basically there was 24 colors, and they were separated by this stripe of purple. And I just had these 2 tubes, and I just needed to cut in the heel. So what I did is I cut my knitting and added a heel in. If you're unfamiliar with cut-in heels, you can just cut a row out of your knitting and essentially make a heel, which is like, there's many different ways you can do it, but like one way is that it's essentially just a toe. And so yeah, it was just languishing, just sitting around, so close to being done but not done. And so summer sock camp was like the motivation I needed to make these socks. So as I showed by the card, this was last year's Woolens and Nosh, their Advent skein. It is a blue face Leicester yarn, so non-superwash yarn, but it's so soft. It's very bouncy feeling, like more so than a superwash yarn, and I just love these colors so much. And I had a second Advent skein that I did finish from zebra yarns that was bright rainbow colors, and so I just love that both of my socks for like December of last year or these rainbow themes. The box itself, like the Advent itself, it came with this stitch marker from Charmed and Dangerous, and so like I just felt like this sort of had like a 70s feel, and then like with the little mushroom, and so I used that with this sock because it's so cute. and it came in this little bag like this, and I kept my 2 skeins of yarn. They were in here, you can see them. I have so much left over from this. See? And then these were the mini skeins. I've mostly used one of them up and the other one's full basically. And so for the minis I did toes and heel, and then a cuff and toes and just a little tiny bit of heel. And yeah, so there's so much left of this. And Matilda, my 5-year-old, she was like, I want a pair of rainbow socks, and there's so much left I could. There was nearly another whole 24 stripes left. But before Matilda said that she wanted another pair, I was thinking there's so much yarn left, I can do whatever I want. So I decided to do something fun that I've never done before. When I cut in the heel, rather than just doing my mini skein like I normally do, I use the self-striping yarn here. So basically you can see it's right here, this red and this pink, I used it here. This red almost looks the same, but you can just see in the camera it is a little bit different. And so I think it looks really good. And so yeah, I just knit self-striping for a little bit. I had more pink left, but most of these rows were 4 stitches tall. So I just like stopped after 4 stitches and then brought my mini skein in. And I think that looks really, I really like the way it looks. I think it looks pretty cool. So that was fun to try. And my favorite heel on a sock is a heel flap and gusset, which is basically where you do a flap and then a heel turn and a decreases down. But I feel like the cut and heel might be becoming my new favorite because I really like the process of it. And I didn't for a long time. And what brought me to like the other side of like really liking the process is something really simple, and it was a light bulb stitch marker. If I remember, I'll throw in a picture, but like maybe everybody does this, but I just started doing this a year ago. Basically, I put a light bulb stitch marker where I want to cut in my heel, and then it's super easy to pick up the stitches above and below like that. And then for cutting the yarn, which was always like the tough part for me, I just pull on the stitch and it's like elongated and it's easy to cut, and then I unravel out. And I bet everybody does that, but I wasn't doing it that way, and so that was like a game changer for me. And yeah, and you know, I always play with something new kind of when I'm doing my cut and heel. So this time, these are DK weight socks, and so the circumference of my sock was 48 stitches that I had cast on. So in the past, when I picked up stitches, I would do 24 around, so 12 and 12 on my where I'm picking up. But this time I did 26 and 26, so it was just like a little bit wider, and I'm really enjoying the fit of that. And so yeah, these are actually not blocked yet. They turned out a little bit big, which is my fault. I think I was just adjusting, like I wanted to cut it in a specific place. So I'm gonna block these, and if they end up being too big, I'm gonna give them to my husband, Kyle, who is very knitworthy. Oh, one last thing. These ended up being way taller of a sock than I normally wear. Like I can pull these up over the sock blocker. I never knit socks that tall, but I did in this case because I wanted to knit all the colors. So with the leftover yarn of this, like every time I have bought a self-striping advent yarn, this has happened where I have a lot of yarn left. So now I have three kind of advent situations of leftover yarn. So part of me thinks it would be so fun someday to do like a swap with somebody where it's like I send them some advent yarn and they send me some advent yarn, like so that we could make new socks. And then the other part of me is like, well, I can make fingerless mitts or make Matilda little socks, but I just don't know if I will or not. So, you know, there's just so much knitting I want to do and not enough time. But anyway, I went on quite a long time about socks, but it's summer sock camp, so maybe you enjoyed that. I was really surprised by that. I didn't see it coming. I thought all of my focus would be on some other things. So I'll show you now in works in progress. All right, we are to the works in progress section. Before we continue on to works in progress, I was just talking about the socks, and I just want to say one more thing about the socks. I can't let it go. I loved it so much, I ordered another Woolens and Nosh advent. I can't even remember when the pre-order was. Maybe it was a month ago, maybe more. I don't know. I've lost track of time now that it's like summer, but I have ordered another one. And yeah, so I guess like all the, you know, kind of like advent yarn things in December are on sale really early. Let me know if you're doing one of those sock advents. Okay, so my first work in progress or whip is a test knit that has a name. This is for Anna from the Bluebird Box, who also has a YouTube channel. And I've tested it for her before, and I knew as soon as I saw this vest, which isn't looking, you know, quite well yet because I haven't put the edges on or anything. Oh, you can see the glitter. It's looking so good. So as soon as I saw this vest, I think she made it over the winter. I knew that I needed it. I knew that I needed it. And then on Instagram, she said the inspiration was Daisy Jones and the Sixth, or maybe it wasn't the inspiration, but it definitely inspired her a little bit. And I had been watching that show, and I love it. So the test call went out while there wasn't a name for it, and now her name is Vintage Vibe Vest for it. And I'll put it on here. The armholes are fitting me just lovely. It's curling in, but it won't once I do the edging and block it. And so you can see the armholes are great. As usual, I feel like Anna is a genius at shaping and design, so it's a very unique construction. It might look like it's just like a drop shoulder design, which it is, but it's like that with like a combo of like cocoa knits method. And so there's some short row shaping in here, and it's really cool. And I only have an inch left to go. Oops, I just had it on my ball yarn. But in typical test knitting fashion, I feel like I'm always the most dramatic test knitter. I'm always like right on the edge of the deadline. So this vest comes out on June 8th, and I'm this close to finishing it. I have an inch of the body and the edging to do, so totally capable. But I'm always a dramatic tester. There's always something. So it happened is I ran out of the glitter. You can see the little glitter yarn. I ran out of the glitter yarn with an inch left to go. I could buy another one. Arkansas Yarn Company has this glitter. It is Lane Gato in the hot pink color. So they have this yarn. I could order it from them, but I want to finish by the deadline, and I also want to like take photos and like enjoy that process of finishing as it's released, and it's possible. So luckily I had done lots of swatches, and so I've been unraveling my swatches. So I have an inch left of the body to go. So my plan is to unravel the swatch and then take the sparkle, wind it on here, and then see if that gets me an inch. I unwound another swatch and it gave me this much, which is almost an inch. So I think the swatch was slightly bigger, so it should give me at least that amount. And then my plan then is to just use the pink. This is a Cascade 220 that is exceptionally old. It is the oldest yarn in my yarn collection, no more. This yarn I bought before I had ever like even knit with hand-dyed yarn or anything like that. Like, so it's like older than my marriage actually. Like I've had it for a long time, so it feels so good to be using it. I had 3 skeins of it. I've used 2 of it here, and I'm on the 3rd one, and so my plan is to use just this for the edging. So for the hem and the edging on the armholes and here. And in one of Anna's samples, she actually did it in 2 different colors, and it looked super great. So I think like me not using glitter on the edge will be totally fine. But you can just really see that here. One of the things as I got into test knitting last year, as I kept buying more and more yarn for test knits, and so one of my challenges I gave myself was for this year is like, you can only sign up for a test knit if you're using yarn that you already have. And so that's this, and I had the sparkle because Matilda requested it on a road trip last year, and I had no idea what I was going to do with it. And it's not something I would normally pair together, because if you saw the 2 skeins, oh, I got distracted because there's a deer in my yard. They wouldn't be something that I would put together, because this is sort of like a coral color and the sparkle was like a hot pink. But the way it marled, I just really like. And I don't know, I just think that I understand this is pink, but I feel like this is a neutral for me, and I will be putting this over like so many different things. And the weather's warm, so I don't think that I'll wear it right now, but I will be glad to. I love to make things in the summer to have in the fall to enjoy, so that'll be really nice. I want to make another one of these, not right away, because you'll see I've got a lot of things I want to get done. But I do want to make another one, and I have yarn for another one in my collection. And I was thinking, I don't know, I was thinking it would be fun to do and maybe like read Daisy Jones and the Six. I have watched that show, but I haven't read the books yet, or I haven't read the book yet. And I was thinking it could be really fun to do like a make along where that's also like a book club. But in the fall, I also want to do my love knit along. I've done that 2 years in a row, so it's like I feel like I kind of want to do that like a 3rd time. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Okay. The second work in progress I have is part of a make along we have going on right now, which is the tank top along. The hashtag on Instagram is tank top along. I cast on May 1st, and a lot of people did too. But you can join anytime because it goes until July 31st. And the rules are any tank top. So crochet, knitting, any tank top. And really it was the motivation I needed. I wanted to make a tank top for years, and then I'll make excuses to not do it because I think I'm intimidated about how to style it. And now that I'm making the outline tank, I'm thinking like, maybe, I don't know, maybe this was a good first tank top to do, or maybe it wasn't. Because the outline tank has this drop stitch that goes all the way down, so I feel like I definitely, knowing myself, will want to wear something underneath it, and I don't know what that is. So yeah, but I think it's a beautiful design, and here is my outline tank. And this Progress Keeper, which I got in my Arkansas Yarn Company box, forget what month. Oops. Ooh, my stitch markers just came off. That was also in a different Arkansas Yarn Company box. Anyway, this yarn was in one of my Sock Society boxes, and I knew I wanted to make a tank top out of it. Like, it's just has these rainbow speckles. Like, Far Away looks very like neutral. I mean, light blue is not neutral, but it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a solid garment from Far Away, and then like you're up close and there's all these like fun little surprises, like all these rainbow speckles, and I love that. So the Progress Keeper was where I was at the last time I recorded an episode, and so I put at least 4 or 5 inches. Looks super good. I'm having fun with it. It's to a spot where it's just mindless knitting. It's just round and round. What I think I'm going to do now, I'll share this a little bit. So when you're knitting hand-dyed yarn, it's really unlikely that your two skeins will be the same. Like, it's just super unlikely that your two skeins will be the same. So a lot of people do a technique called helical knitting, and that's where you like slip 3 stitches and just sort of like keep going and alternate your yarns. I do not do helical knitting, though the result is just like helical knitting. And it's basically, I have a tutorial called the Easy Alternator, and I also have a reel on Instagram. But I think basically it's really easy. It's like easy alternator. Basically, you just pull your yarn in front and start knitting the next one. When you get to that same location, switch your yarn. And when you do that, it doesn't have like a line up the back or a seam up the back, which is the purpose of helical knitting. But what I like about it is that you're not having to change your beginning of round, like, which, you know, if you're doing color work or you're doing a texture, like, it's really nice not to change your beginning of round and have to think about that. So yeah, I'm going to start whenever. Basically, my strategy is when I get partway through a garment, I will just essentially alternate for a while until this yarn is gone, so that when I'm knitting flat up for the straps here, it won't be like a harsh line. Basically, I want to avoid having a harsh line in my garment somewhere. This colorway is called Friends Are the Rainbow After the Storm. I don't know why I'm showing you the there it is. The Friends Are the Rainbows After the Storm. This is their Yummy Plush base, which is 85% merino, 15% nylon. Super, super soft. I was getting all my Sock Society yarn on this base, and I've recently switched, just for fun, to a sparkle base, and so I got my first box, which I'll show in acquisitions. So my third work in progress is a shawl design, and after I'm done recording this episode and I finish my test knit, this is the new focus, and I want to crank this out ambitiously in a week. In the next week, I think would be nice. Okay, so I'll show you the yarn. I am designing a shawl. My thought is that it would be a fingering weight and a mohair pairing. So many dyers have these beautiful like pairings of a fingering and a mohair, and I just love how they look the same but also different because of the different bases. And this yarn is from Purls and Postulates in the colorway I Lobe You. And Purls and Postulates will be at Flock and Fiber in August, which is a festival that will be in Seattle. Let me know if you're going. And I know that Jessica's putting together some really fun kits of things like this. You don't have to necessarily knit my shawl with. There's like so many fun things you can do with these things. Like, you can knit a Sophie shawl and a pair of socks together. You could make a muscle burrow hat. There's so many things. Okay, I'm loving it, even though there's a lot of shawl left to go, but it's a crescent shape shawl with an I-cord edging. It's scrunched on needles now, so it's looking a little puckery, but I did put it on purl strings, like cords, and it stretched out really nice. And so there's this I-cord edging, and it starts off with just garter. I wanted something that once you get the hang of it, you can like maybe watch like a show or talk with a friend about. Okay, and that may not feel that way here when you look at that, but it is an intuitive repeat, and also everything kind of lines up so you'll know if you're off. And it's like this garter chevron, and so yeah, so my plan, I just finished, so it's not attached to yarn, I finished in fingering, and I did kind of 3 repeats of this, and now I'm going to do 3 repeats of this in the mohair. And my thought is, I'm measuring the yarn because I want to have a little bit left over in case people have different gauges, though I have a very loose gauge. Because I want to make sure that it uses 1 skein of fingering and 1 skein of mohair. My thought, and we'll see how it works out, was I was thinking 3 of these, then 3 of the mohair, then a little bit of garter again, and then this again, and end with this. And yeah, so I want something that's not a small shawl, but isn't like a Stephen West Schlanket either. And because it has the mohair, it's really lightweight and very ethereal looking. And yeah, it's looking, I was getting nervous because it was looking puckery here, so I put it on cords, pearl string cords, and it's looking puckery because I have it all squished on a needle. And so I guess my goal is the next time I record a episode that I would be putting out a test call for this. And it would be a short turnaround, so like a 4 to 5 week test knit. So yeah, thinking about names for that. One of my ideas is Daydream, though I haven't searched Ravelry to see if that's already a shawl name. So just playing with ideas. If you have ideas, let me know. I think that's all the works in progress. Let's be honest, there's so many more works in progress, but that's what I've worked on since I last recorded. And I was feeling like reluctant to record and maybe a little sad because I have not sewed my fanny pack yet, or my belt bag. Like, I have these pieces knit, I showed it on the last episode, and I was like, I need to sew this. I want, like, just like, in a way, this YouTube channel is like a space of accountability for me, which is really great, especially when I'm unmotivated to work on something. But there was like a part of me that was like not wanting to record today because I didn't sew my pieces together. But that's just life, and I took a week off of crafting because I was on vacation, and but I just want it so bad. But I just, that hurdle of like doing something hard. And somebody commented on my last episode, and they were like, you know, it's just a few hours, like, you know, one morning with your coffee, sit at the table. And they're right. I think the other challenge has been, since we got home from vacation, Matilda has been just obsessed with crafting. And so we've been eating at the kitchen counter, and our, like, it's like craft corner. Our kitchen table is just like all these crafts, and I will start to clean them up, and then she gets it all out. I mean, I love that she's like being creative and having fun. Like, she was making this paper craft of this like snake family. There's like a snake mom, a baby snake eggs, like she was making Shrinky Dinks. Like, it was all kinds of things. Oh, I forgot. Okay, Shrinky Dinks. Since she's been in craft mode and I'm with her, I may not have sewed my fanny pack together, but I'm really digressing here. We're circling back to the tank top make along. I decided to make tank top make along Shrinky Dink progress keepers. Hear me out. This is my outline tank. So this one's gonna be for me because it looks just like mine. It's not showing up super well there. Maybe the pink one will. Hear me out. I'm gonna draw the tank tops. Can you see the outline tank here? Oh, it's just not showing up that well. In person, because it's clear and the light's going through, like, I even put like the little drop stitches of the design through. Look, and there's like a little hole for me to put, and then because it's Shrinky Dinks, they're super lightweight. So this one's mine because it's my tank top. My outlines tank is blue, but pink's my favorite color. So I'm gonna give this away to somebody that wants it. And then I thought about maybe just like randomly drawing a prize before the make-along's over to send these and see if somebody that I draw wants them. And then I made this like little, I've just been really into daisies lately, the whole 60s, 70s vibes things, and it says tank top make-along. It's not showing up really well here on the screen, but in person I think they look really cool. And now I'm like, I want to make Shrinky Dinks of my sweaters I make. Like my like vintage vibe vest, or like my different I was like, I also want to, we'll see if I get to it, but I want to make the Moon Crush tank top this this summer, and I was thinking like moon crush, I could make a little moon crush. Anyway. So, okay. Here to the acquisitions part of the episode, and I have the most epic acquisition I've maybe ever had on this YouTube channel. Yes, not yesterday, 2 days ago on Sunday, we had just gotten back from vacation and went for a walk to our local fruit stand to get some strawberries. And on our way to the fruit stand, there was a garage sale, and I just like look over and I spotted this blanket. It's a crochet blanket. Can you even? It was $5. I just share that because the labor, the love, like this is worth this is priceless. Priceless. Look at that. I love crochet so much. I really need to invest time into learning crochet. I love granny squares. I love the look of crochet, but my crochet skills are just poor, and so then I don't do it because it's hard to learn new things. But for $5 I can buy this. Oh my gosh, look at this. I felt so lucky. So I saw it was on the ground. It was covered in like leaves even because it was on the ground. And so I said to the woman, I have to walk to the strawberry stand. If I buy this, can you hold on to it? And she's like, yeah. And then I was chatting with her, and it was her grandmother who passed away, and she was sewing this. And I just felt really, really, really lucky to get this, even though I never met this woman. I just think it's so beautiful, and it's such a labor of love. I mean, if you are a crocheter and you know what this stitch is, let me know. I asked this on the internet, and two of my crochet friends answered. I said asked on the internet. I asked this on Instagram, and two of my crochet friends answered, and they said that this looks like a start of a granny square here, like the little tiny. But what I don't know is how are these joined? Can you tell? I'm just curious. Anyway, so I came home, washed it right away, dried it. It is acrylic, but some of it was wool, because when I washed and dried it, oh, you can see. So some of these little guys turned out like this, like a little felted. So that must mean that they were wool. And it's just giving me 60s, 70s grandma's vibes in the best way. Just in the best way. I just love it. I've been using it every day since I got it. I mean, that's just 2 days, but I just feel really lucky. Okay. All right, my other acquisition is the Arkansas Yarn Company Sock Society box. I'm gonna grab that. And I don't normally show all the things, but it's like been my favorite box. I'm gonna show you pretty much everything. Lindsay, who has a YouTube channel, Always Yarn First, she does an unboxing every month, so you could subscribe to that and see that, and then skip ahead on my part here. But okay, this yarn is called You Glow Girl, and the package came with a black light so that if you take this into a dark room and put the black light on it, it actually the yarn glows, which is so cool. I love this so much, and I want to make something special with it. I don't know what. I will maybe digress a little bit here, which is I made a YouTube video recently about the Sophie scarf, and after posting that, I got so many amazing comments about other small little tiny scarves that I've created a Ravelry list of like little scarves, I'm calling them, or tiny scarves. I forget, I think I called my Ravelry bundle tiny scarves. So I'm thinking about making another video that's like tiny scarves that is like an alternative to the Sophie scarf. I know not everybody likes to knit petite knit patterns, and so like offering like smaller designers that have like really fun take on a tiny scarf could be really cool. And I think like something like this could be really fun as a tiny scarf, which is why I'm saying that. And so then I started creating a second bundle, which is like sort of one skein shawls, because of this Sock Society yarn. I just think it'd be nice to make something that's very wearable with one skein. I tend to like really huge shawls, but seeing how I'm wearing my Sophie scarf has made me like very curious about making a one skein shawl. And so I've also created a second bundle on Ravelry of those. So yeah, I'm just loving this. I was looking because the yarn was like a little frayed here. Okay, so that is so cute. And this is the theme. It says, "You glow, girl." Okay, so it came with this keychain's black light because everything glows. Even the Progress Keepers, State of Arkansas. Like this is, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this giant one. Like, I don't really know what I'll do with this. I was thinking maybe put this on a bag or something, like on a zipper. It's quite large. For now, I'm just been putting these things on it. And this is the Arkansas Yarn Company stitch marker. Okay, and then look at this Progress Keeper, and this also glows. It is a mason jar with fireflies, and where I grew up, it was in Illinois in the Midwest. We had lots of fireflies, and I love where I live now in Oregon, but there are not fireflies, and so, at least where I live, and something I miss, and especially like now that I have a child, like this is like, well, last summer we took Matilda to Wisconsin on a road trip, and I was so excited that she got to see fireflies, but yeah, so, or lightning bugs. Okay, so, I mean, it's a really cool box, and I'm so glad that I get it. I just want to make sure that I'm like thinking of things I can make with these special yarns, because I have so many but I haven't knit yet. I think I mentioned on a prior episode that I plan on taking the ones that have a lot of white space and making a sweater, like a marled kind of sweater with them. But since this is my first and only sparkle one, and I'm just, you know, thinking of things I could do. Of course I could do a pair of socks, and since they glow, that would be very cool. But also, I'm a very slow sock knitter, so thinking of other things too. We are to the personal part of the episode, so if you're only here for the knitting and you liked anything, any of the knitting content, consider liking and subscribing. And from this point forward, there will be no knit talk, so just about my personal life. So since I last recorded, I feel like I've been really busy, but like I was just saying last episode, summer Nicole's back, and then like it was like self-imposed busy because I am on summer break, and it's just self-imposed busyness. So I only read one book since I last recorded, and that was the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis, and it's a short book, and if you're not familiar with it, it's a satire where Screw Tape is essentially like the devil, and so anything that Screw Tape is saying is welcoming is something that is actually unwelcoming. Like anything that Screw Tape finds abhorrent is like actually like something good, and it gave me so much to think about, and it was just what I needed. I actually took a break from reading my A Court of Thorns and Roses book. I just am not enjoying the last book. I am only persevering through it because I want to say I've read an entire series of this book by Sarah J. Maas, but I felt like my brain was shriveling from reading it, and I didn't enjoy it. I am not enjoying it. And it's unfortunate because I enjoyed the other books, just not this last one. And so then I went the other end and read a book by C.S. Lewis, but it was what I needed. Yeah, so since I last recorded, Matilda, she had a dance showcase, and she did a routine with her friends to dig a little deeper from Princess and the Frog, and it was so cute. So cute. Just the absolute cutest, and hopefully I'm putting in pictures of how adorable she was. And she loves doing dance and loves performing, so that was really fun to see her just with so much joy and excitement around that. And I had to watch a YouTube video on how to do her hair, her dance hair. Also, right before we went on vacation, Matilda tried out for a swim team and made that. And so she went to 2 practices and was really proud about that. And then we needed to go on vacation. So she'll resume going to swim team practices today, actually. And it's really fun to see her thriving. And in that moment when she's practicing, I love watching her and knitting and I don't know. Though I'm sitting there watching her work really hard, I love it. Basically, I did not knit for a week, and the reason I did not knit for a week is we went on vacation to Disney World. And when we go on a Disneyland or Disney World vacation, we are so busy, so packed. Some people make a joke that you need a vacation from your vacation, kind of, but even though it's so packed, it's Kyle, Matilda, and I, we love it. We have so much fun, but I just don't have time to knit because we're just doing all these things. And also, it's really hot in Florida, and particularly compared to where I live. I mean, perhaps the week we were there, people in Florida were thinking it wasn't that hot because it was only 80 degrees Fahrenheit, mid to upper 80s. But it just, for me, it's just so sticky and hot, and I just don't feel like knitting. And we actually don't stand in a ton of lines. I think that sometimes we're well, there's lots of time to knit in lines, but we really didn't stand in a ton of lines. And so, I mean, we walked through a line to get to the rides, but there wasn't a lot of just standing there where I would need to knit. So yeah, so I went 7 days without knitting, and that's just not me, but we had the best time, and I didn't even miss it. And I keep a journal when we go, how many rides we go on, and I think one of the days we went on 16 rides. So Matilda's favorite ride this trip was the Ratatouille ride, the Remy, she calls it the Remy ride, and it basically, you sit in a cart and you're a mouse and you're running away, and so everything's kind of giant and you're kind of scurrying around, and it's definitely a 4D sensation where when a mop comes, you're splashed with water. And she did more roller coasters this trip. In the past, we've only done storybook rides and things, and she really enjoyed some scary roller coasters. I mean, my level of scary is here. I don't really like very thrilling things, so things that people think are mild, I think are scary. So basically, I thought the Slinky Dog Dash was terrifying, and Matilda loved it. For sure, highlight for Matilda and I was the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. So she had been looking forward to that so much, and so they said to her, do you want to be called princess or queen? And she said, your majesty. And she picked the Aurora dress, and they just it's so incredible. You bring them into a dressing room, and then there's this cartoon over the mirror that's the godmother from Cinderella, and yeah, and they painted her nails, and they put this they had 5 different hairstyles. Maybe not 5, maybe 4. they had multiple hairstyles that you could pick from. And so Matilda picked this hairstyle that was like a high pony with like pink extensions and like a flower crown, and they put like this like glitter hairspray in that's pixie dust. And so anyway, like it was so fun. And then while she's getting it done, Cinderella came, and it just, I could keep going on and on. Like we had the best time. And I feel like when I get back from Disney, I just like can't wait to go back. Like I like am done, I'm home, and now I'm like, when am I going back? It's like, so that's a sign of a good vacation. It's like, Kyle and I were talking, and I feel like it's a different form of rest. Like, yes, we were just putting on miles, lots and lots of walking. We did a scavenger hunt at Epcot, and we were looking for Spike this bee and like and matching up with different flowers. And it's like, it's very, we're just, you know, exhausted at the end of the day. And so in one sense, like it's not a form of physical rest, but for us it's a form of mental rest, because when we're so busy having fun together, we don't think about other things. Like I didn't once think about work. I didn't think about things that would stress me. I just was thinking about that fun in that moment. And those things in life sometimes are kind of rare to like be just focused in the present. And it's like a much happier way to be, like not be stressed. And so it's like a rest. It's almost like a mental rest and not necessarily a physical rest. Anyway, I could just keep going on about my Disney vacation, and I'm not going to, because this is not a Disney YouTube channel. But thank you so much for being here and being part of my knitting community and being my friends. This weekend's Worldwide Knit in Public, and since most of my knitting friends are online, I'm like, well, what am I doing for Knit in Public? So hopefully I do something. If you're gonna do Worldwide Knit in Public Day, like let me know where you knit. I would love to hear about that. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.